Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and today's video is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be learning makeup tips together. So I recently had the opportunity to get my hair and makeup done by IU's team while they were here in LA for her tour, and I learned so much from her makeup artist Sook and her hairstylist Ggotbi, so I'm gonna spill all the secrets with you guys. If you guys aren't familiar with Sook, she is an icon in the Korean beauty industry. She's been IU's go-to makeup artist for years. She's done so many iconic looks for IVE, Baby Monster, Girls' Generation, and she has her own makeup studio in Korea called Wee Atelier, which you guys might have seen on YouTube. And we got a first look at her new makeup brand okhee, which we'll be partnering with today to learn all of her K-pop beauty secrets. How this is gonna work is I'm gonna include clips from the makeup session and then recreate it here with you guys so you can clearly see all of the steps. Let's start. So starting with skin prep, we're gonna start with toner. I actually arrived with my skincare already done, but Sook mentioned that you should always use a toner pad right before you start your makeup. A lot of times dust will start collecting on your face when you're moving around, especially if your face is wet from like moisturizer. I'm starting with my Beauty of Joseon toner. This is the rice one. Next, she's applying moisturizer all over my face with a sponge. The moisturizer she used was like very watery, so I'm gonna be using this one from Glow Recipe. This is the Watermelon Pink Juice Moisturizer. I know I'm doing it on myself and I can use my own hands, but I also wanna try using a sponge. Okay, next, she's applying lip balm. I'm gonna use a lip oil for this. Moving on to the foundation, at first, I actually couldn't tell that she was applying anything. She's working in super thin layers. It almost looks invisible if you see it in the video, but you'll see as she starts building it up in certain areas, the skin starts looking so naturally flawless. For this building up technique, she used a dense wide brush for the foundation application, which usually I don't use brushes to apply my foundations, but this brush, if you look at it, there's so many brush hairs packed in there. It actually feels like a sponge when you're using it on your face. This just helps spread the product easier without leaving any brush strokes.
스펀지로 베이스한 것처럼 결이 하나도 없고 손쉽게 이제 그런 셀럽의 피부를 연출할 수 있는, 모공이 좀 넓거나 지속력이 좀 필요로 하는 피부 있잖아요.
Okay, next, I thought she was moving on to the eyes when she brought out this brush, but it's actually for concealer. So in Korea, they prefer a thinner base makeup, right? So they actually don't use concealer like we do in America. Sook is going in with this tiny concealer brush, and she's concealing like any hyperpigmentation and freckles individually. I will say it's a very tedious process, but it was super worth it in the end. So I'm gonna use a little bit from this concealer pot. You can apply the concealer with the pointy tip, right? Right after, you can start patting it in with the flat side. So next, it looks like Sook is using a very light layer of powder to set the base before moving on to the contour. So let's lightly powder. I'm gonna be using this shade for my contour. So I'm just going to do a little bit of contour. The way she contoured my nose was also very different. Because you guys know I usually do like a line here to make it more button-nosed, but she made my nose look a lot taller. And then she also did a very light contour, focusing on the cheekbones. For the face, Sook wanted to do a softer contour since she thinks I'm more baby-faced in real life. So I also asked them what they think my animal face type is.
그래서 우리가 제시카를 처음 봤을 때 영상으로 보던 것보다 굉장히 애기 같다.
So since you give off like that baby face, they wanted to accentuate that.
Do you know about the animal face types?
알죠.
Yeah.
강아지상 고양. 그 강아지 중에
말티즈?
말티즈처럼 이렇게.
저는 약간 뭔가 강아지랑 또 살짝 애기 토끼 같은 그런.
What I think is so interesting about these brushes is you can tell there's a lot of like a Korean makeup influence on them, because in America, you usually see this type of brush as a contour brush because usually we do like this type of like cheekbone type of contour, you know? But in Korea, they usually do a very like soft, diffused contour right on the outer edges of their cheeks. So they need a larger brush like this rather than something like this. I think that's like one of my favorite things recently is seeing how makeup evolves around the world in different ways and how the products and tools that come from those countries reflect that. Next, we're gonna do highlighter. Highlighters are also used differently in Korea. So usually you guys know I use highlighter like right on the tip of my nose, but in Korea, they prefer that like soft focus type of highlight. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna use my Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Glow Highlighter in Opal. And so she applied that like this and then up. See how it gives you that soft diffused glow? I feel like this definitely makes my nose look longer, whereas I usually make my nose look shorter. Okay, so this next step I feel like made the biggest difference just because I've never really thought about doing my brows like this. She used the brow technique that she uses on Wonyoung. So Seok explained to me that the way that she shapes your brows is based on the proportion of your brows and forehead dimensions.
여기가 너무 좁으면 또 답답해 보이는 게 있어서 제가 지금 올라가는 길에 제가 조금 정리를 한 거거든요. 여기가 좁거나 여기가 살이 없어서 꺼지면 나이가 들어 보일 수 있고 안 예뻐 보일 수 있어요.
So make it wider.
Wider, yeah. So you want to give more space in that area.
Okay.
그러니까 여기를 조금 더 넓게 해주고 이제 여기를 이제 제가 그려서 좁게 해주는 거죠.
By filling in the bottom part of it, so it closes the gap from your brows to your eye.
So less space here,
Less space and more space
here.
up.
We're just gonna follow that, continue creating the shape, slightly curve it. Since I usually go out like this, it shortens this section, but she prefers for the section to be longer, so she needs to curve it down, you see? Brow gel right at the front just to thicken the hairs there. For this next part, she uses a brow pomade to create like thin hair-like brush strokes, but I don't have brow pomade because I don't trust myself with it anymore. So I'm gonna try using this thin brush that she also used with a cream eyeliner. And I'm just gonna do a few strokes, not too many. So one of the questions I knew I had to ask Seok was how she gets the makeup to not budge when idols are performing. And she said that eyeshadow primer is actually one of the most important steps. She said you have to properly prep the skin around the eyes with the proper tools before makeup application or it's gonna smudge and smear. She also uses the primer under the eyes, which makes sense, right? Because that's where the makeup goes when it smudges. But I just never thought of priming the under eyes as well. Next, she's setting the eyes, so I'm gonna do that as well. And then she's also blending in the concealer right here into the inner corner. This is actually a super important step if you take a lot of flash photography or if you're under a lot of bright lights, which K-pop idols usually are. And it's because I feel like this section is often forgotten about, but if you don't apply any makeup in this section, under flash lights, it will look really dark. So this concealer brush being so small is actually very helpful here because then I don't have to mess up the contour. We're gonna be using 2 different eyelash curlers today. So one to get most of the lashes and then one to get the corners. She made sure to make it kind of flat so you can see the curvature. It helps you get in there really close so you can curl as many lashes as possible. Like that. It curls the center really well, but you can see that on the outer corner and the inner corner, those sections usually it's kind of hard to get with just a wide lash curler like this. So she created a very flat half lash curler so it can get all these corners. Let me show you. And the outer corner. And now you can see even the inner corners, the lashes in here are curled. Seok was explaining here that she wanted the jaw of the lash curler to be wide enough to comfortably curl the lashes, but not so wide that you would have to strain your hand too much when you're curling, going from this to this, because then that's using a lot of force and it could end up ripping out some of your lashes. For the eyes, she's using a peach eyeshadow as the base first, over the eyelid, and then under as well. She's applying this everywhere, so even in the inner corners, I feel like since it's a pastel shade, it easily blends into the other colors. And then she's applying a slightly darker shade with the same brush. I feel like even the shadows she used were very light so that she could build up on them. So it's all about layering. Taking the mini fan brush again, we're gonna apply the same contour shade and blend it into the eyeshadow. This makes everything more seamless. And then it looks like she's trying to like contour my cheekbones here too. Next, she's using a very pastel shade with a pointed eye brush. It's like perfectly shaped so it fits right under the eye. Like usually it's such an awkward fit, but look, this has like that perfect point. This shade from the Daisy palette. With an even smaller brush, she's adding little highlights. So I'm using like an almost white blush and apply it only to this section in the inner corner. I don't usually talk about brushes super in detail, but when you're using small brushes around your eye area, you can really tell the difference. Not only because it gives you more precision, but because if you're using a larger brush to create these small details and you're getting so close to the eyes, if there's any type of powder or product on the brush, right, it can fly into your eyes and really irritate them and make them water. For the eyeliner, she's starting with a deep brown eyeshadow to create a soft line, and then she's using a cream eyeliner on a precision brush to get the waterline and go over the eyeliner a little. With a small precision brush, we're gonna apply a dark brown eyeshadow. I'm gonna use this YSL one. It has like a creamier formula, so it's easier to do this type of technique. I feel like the one she uses more cool tone, so I'm gonna use this one instead. So I'm just taking a cream gel liner on the brush and then filling in the lash line. I'm gonna go over the liner as well. This is gonna help it last longer. And don't worry if the line isn't sharp enough, because you can just clean it up with concealer. Next, we're gonna take the brown eyeshadow again. This is like a super tiny thin brush, which is really good for the under eye makeup. And we're just gonna create a line from here to here. So one of the things I feel like is a signature part of Seok's makeup looks is the lashes. There's this very particular look to it. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the perfectly spaced lashes, which gives like a very subtle, natural dolly look. Honestly, in a lot of these pictures, I just thought that the idols had really long lashes and they just applied mascara and pinched the lashes together. But it's just very natural falsies, and then she uses mascara after. So to get this very natural dolly type of look, she switches between 3 strip lashes. Style 1 is a very thin natural lash with the signature V-cut to separate the sections. Style 2 is a slightly thicker version of Style 1. And Style 3 is the wispiest. It has a lot of lash hairs in between the V-cut sections, so it's gonna give you a fuller lash look. For me, she used Style number 2, so I'm gonna cut them up just like she did and then apply them under the natural lash. So she actually cut every single V section, and this actually doesn't need to be as tedious as you think it is. Cut the lash into 3 sections. Take a section with your tweezer. This is with the lashes on. She's using a mascara with like a very skinny wand. I'm gonna use a similar one. This is the Clio Sharp So Simple one. We're also gonna blend the top lashes with the falsies. I'm so obsessed with these lashes. Now that the lashes are done, Seok is touching up the under eyes. So touching up the matte highlighting shade and then adding a little bit of dimension with a darker eyeshadow. I'm gonna use this shade from the YSL palette, again with a pointed brush. And then she's blending in a darker shade on the outer corner. Finally, it's time for glitter. So we're gonna start with an eyeshadow glitter. I'm gonna use this shade from my Isamaya palette. I feel like this one looks very similar to the one she used. Seok actually used 3 different types of glitters. The reason why Seok uses 3 different types of glitters is the glitter chunks are different sizes, so when you turn your head, it's gonna sparkle from every angle. She used a slightly sheerer glitter on the lower lash line, so I'm gonna use this one from Flower Nose, and we're gonna apply that only to the lower inner section. Next, she used liquid glitter right underneath the pupil, and then she applies larger dry glitter chunks on top, but I don't have dry glitter, so I'm gonna use this glitter gel that has larger chunks and then apply right underneath. And then this is repeated on the upper eyelid, but it's only on the section right above the pupil, and it's really high up right underneath the eyebrow. So right here. If there's any fallout, just use the spoolie to remove it. Next is blush. I've seen a lot of people speculate about Wonyoung's Inner Glow blush combo, and the secret is blush layering. It starts with a very light baby pink. The one she used is from MAC, but I'm using a Giorgio Armani one. And then she mixes in a brighter pink. She uses all cream products, by the way, which is very important. It can be a liquid, but it just can't be a powder. I'm just stamping that in the center and then blending it out. A lot of times I feel like blush makes your face look really flat, so it's important to use 2 shades to get really good dimension. And then the final step that gives you that Wonyoung Inner Glow type of look is a glowy blush. So you want to use something that's very dewy. So for this, I'm going to be using the Pixie On The Glow blush. The one she used exactly, it was the Patrick Ta one, but I do not have that one. So I'm just gonna rub it onto the sponge and then apply it. And so whenever you turn your head, it gives you that healthy skin glow. Since it's the same pink color as the other blushes that we used, it doesn't disrupt the makeup underneath. Next, she's using a pink highlighter to highlight the inner corners. So I'm using the tiny brush again to really get in here. I feel like the one she used has more glitter, so I'm using the MAC Dazzlepink highlighter instead. Applying that right in the inner corner. Yeah, this looks a lot like the one she used. To finish off the super sparkly idol look, we're gonna apply some crystal eye gems. She's applying a little bit of concealer around the lips before starting lip makeup. She used a very nudish pink type of lip liner, so I'm using Nude Pink from NYX. Again, Seok sees the face in proportions. So she told me she doesn't recommend overlining too far above my natural lip line because it'll make this section smaller, which makes this section look wider in comparison. Next, we're applying a nudish pink lipstick thinly with a brush. I'm applying First Kiss from Lancome with a lip brush. She's also using a concealer pencil to clean up the lips. So I'm using my Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Boundless Bisque. For the gradient lip in the center, she uses a bright coralish pink color. I think this is going to be a good color match, so I'm going to apply it to the lip brush. The lip brush gives you a lot more control over the gradient lip and where it goes. She applies a thin layer of nudish gloss at the end, so I'm going to see if this works. Using the pointiest brush, she's making a beauty mark. Honestly, you can see here that I was getting really worried because she was applying the beauty mark really far out on my face, which you guys know, like, it makes your face look wider if you apply beauty marks too far out. So I was kind of like looking at it, but she removed it right away and started reapplying it somewhere else, which I was so impressed at. I was like, oh my god, like, she's so detail oriented. I usually don't do this, but she blended the foundation down to my neck, so I'm gonna do that too. Honestly, this foundation shade is the most perfect shade match I've ever found. It's Lancome's Teint Idole Ultra Wear Karen Glow in 105W. Wait, that made my skin look so smooth. For finishing touches, Seok did apply eyeshadow to my scalp and hairline to make it look fuller. So we're gonna apply some black eyeshadow. After Seok did my makeup, I was taking photos with flash, and this step actually makes a huge difference. When you fill it in like this, it just looks so much fuller. So she applied some to up here as well. Final step is liquid liner. She used this to touch up the liner and the beauty mark, so let's do that. And this is the completed look. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again to okhee for sponsoring this video. By the time you guys see this video, the brushes and the lashes she created are probably already launched, so I will link them in the description box. Let me know what you think of this makeup, and I will see you in my next video. Yay!